I went to a wedding at the weekend and I got talking to some people who own a cafe. Great people, wonderful people. The venue was amazing for the wedding. It was a beautiful day. It was just all round 10 shades of goodness. But what they were asking me towards and during the aftermatch function was, what do you actually do? And to be fair, I was at a wedding. I kind of fubbed it off and sort of didn't really want to go into too much detail about what I do, because we were there to celebrate a wedding, not me to talk about my business. But I thought that it was a very fair question, and I thought, well, maybe I should answer that and give people an understanding of what I do. So that's what today is all about, and that's what I'm going to be taking you through right now. So, in a nutshell, this is what I do with people. I basically help them run their business. I help them get more time, freedom, and profits. In a nutshell, I've been doing this in hospitality since 2003. I have been a business coach for 25 years with clients all over the world. And there is a way of doing stuff that works. And I'm going to show you what I do and what I take people through, and how they can grow their business and how they tend to want to grow their business. So that's what really we're talking about today. So in a nutshell, there are 4 things that when I take on a new client, we go to work on really, really quickly. And we get some really cool, quick runs on the board, because I'm not cheap to work with and I've got to pay for myself. So the first thing we do is we work on getting control of the business. And by that, and I'll show you the tools that we use later on. But what we do is we spend some time understanding what's going on in the business. Now, financially is probably the first place that we start. And I use this tracking tool, which I've developed over years, and it's really, really powerful. It's a fantastic tool. And we put in our numbers into that, and we look really deeply every single week at our numbers. So we know every single week how much money we've made. We don't have to wait to the 20th of the month following, when our accountant sends through our numbers, to know exactly how much money we made on that week. It's a really powerful tool, and it gives people the control over their business that most people in hospitality don't actually have, but certainly want. Once we do that, we focus on getting some extra money. So, like I said, I'm not cheap to work with, and you've got to be able to justify my expense. And so we work on getting an extra $10,000 a month, which far more than pays for me, really quickly to your bottom line. So we do a couple of tools. We've got some tools that help us do that. And the outcome is 10 grand pretty quickly to your bottom line. After that, we focus on building some systems to scale your business. Now, I don't know if you've seen the pyramid, but there's a pyramid. And at the bottom of the pyramid is, there's 4 levels in the pyramid, right? And the bottom level is the one that a big chunk of hospitality venue owners actually find themselves in. And that's basically they're struggling for survival. They are, generally speaking, operating like charities, and they're not making any money. They're working every hour of the week, and it's a tough old grind. And there are so many people in hospitality that actually have businesses like that. So we work on taking them from survival through to alive. And by alive, what I mean is that they're actually making money. So they've lifted below the poverty line. So they're actually making money beyond just a wage. So when I say making money, I mean making money and paying yourself a wage, if you're still working in the business, for working in the business. So you get your functional role and you've got a return on investment. Okay, does that make sense? So we do that, and we build up systems that will scale you from, if you are in survival, then to alive, and then from alive we go to thrive, which is where you're making pretty good dough. And then we build a business, we build systems that will help you scale your business. Now, when I say scale is often thought of in our industry as more sites, and that type of thing. But there's 100 different ways of scaling that don't include having more venues. You can scale up in many different ways. And what we have is we have a business and a set of skills within the business that we can scale up, and actually we can stay in 1 premises or 2 premises or however many you want. But what building a system that allows us to scale does is actually gives us the ability to make a choice about how we want to scale our business. So it gives you opportunity to make your own decisions, and it gives you options, which is really cool. So we build up some systems to help you scale, and then we build a self-running business. And this is really about addressing one of the most common issues that you see in hospitality. So, in hospitality, generally speaking, you've got people who work crazy hours for very little money. Okay, so we work on making some money first, and then we work on building a business that actually works beyond its owner. Now, often what happens is the people in this industry come from the trades background. So they're chefs or the bakers or something like that. And they love doing what they're doing, which is cool, which is great. It's why we do what we do, right? But having options is really important because working in your business can be great. But what happens if you want a weekend off? What happens if you want a month off? So we want a business that will work just as well without you as it does with you. Now, whether you choose to work in the business or not, that's perfectly fine. I got no trouble with that at all. So those are our the first four priorities that we actually work on. We work on a bunch of other stuff, but we're working on making sure that we get control, make more money, build some systems that are built for scale, and we actually build you a self-running business. So those are the first four things we work on. Now, the outcomes for those tend to be these things here. So I realize that part of my face is blocking off the part of it. But in a nutshell, what we find by focusing on these four things initially is that people they have a better understanding about what's going on in their business. And there's a couple of tools. I'll take you through the tools in a second that give us that understanding and control about what's going on in the business, which is great. And it really does help people. And see, the bottom line of this is less stress. You will be less stressed when you understand what's going on inside your business, and especially if you're making lots of money. So, which is pretty cool. We really quickly focus on adding 10 grand a month to the bottom line, not the top line. That's not hard. But another 2.5 grand a week on average is what we're really looking for. And if you're doing sort of 20, 25 grand a week, that's actually not as hard to do as what you might think it is. And we use a bunch of tools. I'll take you through those in a sec. And customers get a better experience because they generally tend to find that when you have systems to ensure consistency and that sort of thing, the experience they get is way more consistent. So that's what they spend a lot of time on. You get the opportunity to spend time away from the grind of doing what you're doing. I am forever talking to people who start at 4 o'clock in the morning and finish at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and work 6 days a week. And whilst they might love it, what happens if you break your leg? What happens if you've got to go over to the other side of the world for some reason to go to a wedding or something? And so what we do is we build a business that allows you to get away from the grind. If you still want to get into it, then that's great, but you don't have to. Holidays. So I'm really big on holidays. I love holidays. Holidays are fantastic. And all my clients, once they get a taste for it, have wonderful holidays. Now, for me, when I'm defining what a holiday should look like, I'm thinking 4 weeks minimum per year and offshore. Now, you don't have to take 4 weeks a year offshore, but it's nice to know you can. And I've got a whole bunch of stories from clients who never thought they could do it and now are taking a month a year to go to Europe or we're going to go to the States, but I think it's Asia this year with all the craziness. So yeah, holidays are really big and it gives you the freedom to actually go away and enjoy them and know that you are actually going to come back to a business that's actually thriving with you or without you. People tend to find that businesses are way easier to run than what they were previously. So yeah, the outcome is definitely a business that's easier to run and everyone really understands what their role in the business is, which is great. Average dollar sale is up, more bums on seats, all that sort of stuff. It all adds up to less stress on you, which you wouldn't believe the leaps forward people have had in their own personal lives by doing this stuff. Their stress levels just go through the floor. So I'll take you briefly through some of the tools that we use. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. This is just some of the stuff that we use. Now, bear in mind that you can see these things and you sit there and go, well, I do these things already, and which is cool, and that's great, and you should. But there's a way that we go about doing them, this mechanism that we use to actually make these things even more powerful than what you might initially suspect that they are. So we use the business tracker. So this is a document that keeps a track of all of the expenses in the business and the profitability. And so you get your food cost every week, you get your prime number and all that sort of stuff. It's easy to see. It's a really simple setup. It takes about 5 minutes a week to set up and you can see long-term trends and that sort of thing. It's a really powerful tool. So that's the first thing we do. We do a whole exercise called the menu makeover. And there's three types of dishes that you need on your menu, right? There's three types, and we make sure that you have a good, healthy mix of all three of these types of dishes. So we do that. We work on your vision, values, and purpose, which is the overall direction for the company. So what you want to be in a period of time, what you stand for, what you believe in, and why you do what it is that you do. It's a really interesting exercise. One of the things that we do is the Mission to Mars exercise by Jim Collins, and it's been around for years, and it's great. It's a really powerful tool. So we do that. We do the 5 circles. 5 circles is really interesting. You can download this online at the moment. If you flick me an email, I'll send this to you. It's a really powerful tool. So the 5 circles are the answer to the question: if you were on a month-long holiday and you were on a tropical beach and the sun was shining and the birds were tweeting and the cocktails were going down just fine, what are 5 numbers that you could get out of your business that would tell you everything that you need to know about the business and the performance of it? So the 5 circles, great exercise, really cool tool, and critical to understanding what's really going on in your business. And if you want holidays, then you can just get a text once a week with that stuff. It's perfectly cool to get that. There's tons of my clients who are over the world. They get one text once a week, and it's just the 5 circles, and they sit there and go, cool, love that. The customer experience. So we do a thing called the VOC, the voice of the customer, which is down the bottom there. And the VOC is really, really important to know things about the voice of the customer. These are your customers. This is you giving them a voice. And there's some tools we use to do that, and some really cool mechanisms that we use to incorporate your customers' thoughts on your business into that. Part of that is understanding what the customer experience is like and making sure that we invent a customer experience. So it's a customer experience by design, not default. And we spend a bit of time making sure that. And that's where you get, like, say, if we're looking for $10,000, there's a whole bunch of money that can be built into the customer experience, which is great. We do a marketing upgrade. We spend a whole bunch of time doing some stuff in your marketing that will actually help you get more customers, more bums on seats. It's not hard to do. Actually, in these days of social media, all that sort of thing, we show you some quick tools. There's a social media hospitality course that we give you. And really, it's about making marketing as simple as possible and as effective as possible. People, I think, have a perception that marketing has to be like 5-10 hours a week type of thing to be effective. It doesn't. And we'll show you how to do that. We do roles and responsibilities. So if you want to have a self-running business, everyone's got to understand what their role and responsibilities are within their role. So we spend a bit of time getting engagement with your team on that. We build a business playbook. So the business playbook are all of our systems. There are only 3 systems that you need in your business, and this is where you capture them in the business playbook. And this here is what you sell when you want to scale your business or want to franchise it or anything like this. You've got to have a business playbook. And there's some key parts of it that we go through, and it allows you to scale just beautifully if that's what you want to do. But what it does do is it makes training simpler. We take training modules online, we put them up on YouTube and that type of thing, just to make life a whole lot simpler. And we build this business playbook about how we do what it is that we do. We implement a system called Recruit Right. And Recruit Right is a tool that I've been using for 15 years. I built it like literally 15 years ago, and we used psychometric profiling, trained my clients all on that. And give you an example. So, when you go into a cafe, bar, restaurant sometime, and there's somebody behind the counter who is just filled with the joy of life, who is just a delight to deal with, who is just warm and radiant and charismatic and engaging and all that. Well, psychometric profiling gives you a tool where you can identify that, and actually, when you're out there looking for staff members who you want to be really warm and welcoming, front of house people, for example, then you can actually go out and give them this test, really simple test. I give it to my clients. That will actually find these people for you. They'll do 90% of the work for you, and it will ensure that you get a much better quality hire. So Recruit Right, really powerful tool. And we put in meeting rhythms. So again, getting control of your business is all about that. So we do all that. We solve a bunch of problems. We prevent a lot of problems from happening by doing the things that we should be doing, and we're doing them right. So hopefully that makes sense. If that's the sort of thing that interests you, then flick me an email. We'll have a yarn, see what we can do for your business. But in the meantime, that's what I do.